Hello everyone! Today we're going to do a chakra balancing flow demonstration. During this flow, you may want to use a bolster, yoga blocks, or a blanket. However, if you don't have any of these, no worries. You will still greatly benefit even without the props. Feel free to come to a comfortable seat of your choice. Here, I am seated in Siddhasana or easy seated pose, which activates the Muladhara or root chakra. This chakra governs stability and trust. If you're coming into easy seated pose, be sure to sit up nice and tall and gently separate your buttocks so that your sit bones are grounded firmly on your mat. You can also opt to place a blanket beneath your bottom to help with sitting more erect and increase your comfort. If you feel you need more grounding, place your hands facing downward on your legs, or for a bit more energy, place your palms upward. Once seated comfortably, place one hand on your belly and the other on your chest. Gently close your eyes or soften your gaze to begin with a brief breathing sequence, such as diaphragmatic breathing or a 3-part breathing sequence. This flow involves spinal mobility and weight bearing through the wrists, hands, and shoulders. Therefore, we want to prep with a little warm up prior to placing demand on those areas to prevent injury. Here, I will perform a few targeted movements to get the circulation going. Now that we are warmed up, we're going to continue our flow, transitioning into Baddha Konasana or bound angle pose to activate the Svadhisthana or sacral chakra. This chakra governs sensuality and fertility. Here, we want to continue grounding down through our sit bones as we bring our knees wide and feet together to touch. For those that would like a little more support, feel free to place a blanket or block beneath the legs for added comfort. Once in position, you can deepen the pose by leaning forward and gently placing pressure against the inner thighs and allowing the head to drop forward. Next, we're going to transition into Ardha Navasana or half boat pose to activate the Manipura or solar plexus chakra. This chakra governs self-esteem and willpower. With this pose, we want to be sure to engage our core by gently bringing the belly button toward the spine and creating a deep tension across the belly. This ensures support for your spine to prevent back injury. Before coming into your half boat pose, you can test the waters a little by slowly lifting and lowering one leg at a time as you shift your weight slightly backward. Once you're ready, you can place both hands behind the knees and then try elevating both legs, remembering to continue engaging the core. To deepen the pose, next try it without using your hands behind the knees if this is in your practice. You can bring your arms along the sides of your body with your hands outstretched. Don't worry if you have a case of the wobbles, that's just a sign that you're getting stronger by challenging yourself. For those that want to dive even deeper, you can also opt for a full boat pose where you extend your bent knees upward into a V-sit position. This is not shown here since it is not currently in my practice. We now transition into Purvottanasana or upward plank to activate the Anahata or heart chakra, which governs empathy and forgiveness. Continue to engage your core by gently pulling your belly button toward your spine. Place your hands behind you with your palms facing your bottom, gently scoot back, and extend both legs out in front of you. With control, press down into your hands and the heels of your feet and lift your hips from the floor. Use your full body versus dumping your weight into your joints by activating your glutes, quads, and core for greater stability. To open the heart more, you can allow your head to tilt back. This positioning gives you a nice throat opening. Be mindful that if you experience dizziness, you may want to maintain a more neutral head position. If performing this pose with the legs extended is not in your practice, you can modify this posture by bending the knees instead. As you bend your knees, you will press down into both feet and hands as you lift your hips from the mat and ensure that you continue activating the glutes and core as noted before. Our next transition will take us down to the floor into Matsyasana or fish pose to activate the Vishuddha or throat chakra, which governs communication and truthfulness. For this pose, I'm using a block and blanket beneath my head and back for support. The block is placed midway down the upper back between the shoulder blades. From an upright sitting position, straighten your knees and slowly lower down onto the block so that your upper back is arched. Support yourself with your hands along the sides of your body, hands firmly planted on your mat. Here, I noticed that the block was not as supportive, so I repositioned it long ways for more support along the mid-back, which felt more comfortable and allowed me to settle into the pose better. Now we want to activate our Ajna or third eye chakra, which governs intuition and awareness. After spending time in spinal extension, we can try a nice counter to promote spinal flexion. One option is Upavishta Konasana or wide angle seated forward bend pose. Coming from a seated position, gently extend each leg out into a comfortable wide angle. I'm using a blanket here for support to assist me into a more erect seated posture. Before jumping right into a forward fold, I'll test the waters a bit by extending my arms up and overhead, then hinge from the waist until I find my forward fold. I place my hands on the floor in front of me and allow myself to rest into the fold. I can also place my hands onto each ankle or use my peace fingers to grasp each big toe. If it's in your practice, you can even lower your head toward the floor. As a modification, you can also opt to bend your knees as you lower your stomach onto your thighs, or use a bolster as you see here to place against your forehead, further activating your third eye chakra. If using the prop, allow your forehead to rest comfortably onto the bolster while your hands rest on your lower legs or feet. Here, you will see that I switched to a shorter bolster to better suit my body during the pose. Now, we would transition into our final resting posture, Shavasana or corpse pose, to activate our Sahasrara or crown chakra, which governs spirituality and self-realization. Once here in Savasana, feel free to find a resting position for your hands, either face up or down, onto the mat or on your thighs or torso. While in Shavasana, we can enter into a state of meditation for a brief period. After our meditation, we will begin bringing awareness back into our bodies by wiggling our fingers, wiggling our toes. You can even make small circles with your ankles or your wrists. Then, bend both knees and transition onto your side in the fetal position. We can rest here for a moment before using the top arm to press up into a seated position of your choice. Now, we'll inhale and we'll sweep our arms up and overhead, allowing our palms to touch. Then lower the palms down to heart center as we close out. Finally, complete one last breath cycle, sealing your practice. Namaste.